There are still U.S. cities where a normal person can buy a normal house for under $300,000, and in a lot of these markets, that budget actually puts you above the local median. If you want to stop doom-scrolling housing headlines and actually see where your money still works, this list will feel like finding extra gravity in your favor instead of fighting it. What you're going to hear will help you figure out which of these 10 cities actually fits your life, whether you're a first-time buyer, a family that just wants a yard, a retiree watching the budget, or a small-time investor looking for cash flow. All right, let's start where your money stretches the farthest. Number 10. Muncie, Indiana, the upper-end starter hometown. In Muncie, typical home values sit in the $140,000 range, and recent listing data shows many homes marketed in the high $100,000 range. With a $300,000 budget, you're not scraping the bottom. You're essentially shopping the upper shelf. Larger 3 to 4 bedroom homes, more square footage, and better neighborhoods that a first-timer gets in most big metros. Because prices are so far below the national median, your monthly payment, especially if you lock in a decent rate, can look more like a car payment in a coastal city than a mortgage. Day-to-day living is cheap, commute times are short, and you get a college town backbone thanks to Ball State University, which keeps things from feeling like a tiny, hollowed-out town in the middle of nowhere. Muncie is perfect if you're a first-time buyer or remote worker who wants a low-stress payment and enough space for a home office and maybe a future nursery. It also works for small investors who like the idea of student-oriented rentals in a market where acquisition costs are still very low. Number 9. Toledo, Ohio. Low prices, real city. Toledo's typical home value hangs around the low $100,000 range, and median listing prices have been in that same range, even as demand has picked up. That means with $300,000, you're shopping well above the median. Think updated single-family homes in stronger neighborhoods, or even a small duplex or triplex if you want a house hack. At the metro level, Federal Reserve data shows the median listing price in the low $200,000 range, still far below the national norm, and that gap is where your advantage lives. A lot of out-of-state investors have already noticed. Toledo shows up frequently in cash flow lists because rents stack up well against those low purchase prices. Toledo is a strong fit for first-time homebuyers who want to lock in something that doesn't crush their budget, and for small investors who like the idea of owning a few doors instead of just one condo somewhere expensive. If your tolerance for older housing stock and Midwest winters is high, your cost of living gravity here is very much in your favor. Number 8. Battle Creek, Michigan. Quieter market, solid value. In Battle Creek, the typical home value is in the mid-$170,000 range, with recent median listings in the low $200,000 range, and closed sale prices often still in the mid-$100,000 range. Put simply, $300,000 is an above-average budget here, so you can be picky. Nicer neighborhoods, more updated interiors, or extra land on the edge of town. The local market is active but not frantic. Federal Reserve and market trend data show a bit of cooling in some periods, with homes selling in weeks rather than days, so buyers have more breathing room and negotiation power than in ultra-hot coastal markets. Cost of living trends below national averages as well, so you aren't saving on the house only to lose it at the grocery store. Battle Creek is ideal for families who want Michigan living without the price tags of Grand Rapids or Ann Arbor, and for buyers who appreciate a steadier, less speculative market. It also works for small investors targeting affordable single-family rentals in a mid-sized city with stable regional employment. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Affordable big city energy. Pittsburgh looks and feels like a major metro, but the pricing still belongs in this under $300,000 conversation. Median listing prices in the city have been in the high $200,000 range. Typical home values sit in the low to mid $200,000 range, and median sale prices hover in that mid $200,000 zone. That makes a $300,000 budget almost exactly at or slightly above the middle, which is wild when you compare it to other large U.S. metros. Pittsburgh is consistently ranked as one of the most affordable large housing markets in the country, even after recent price gains, thanks to a strong mix of healthcare, education, and tech-related jobs, paired with moderate housing costs. Cost of living is reasonable, and you get big city perks, pro sports, restaurants, culture at a discount compared to places like Boston or Seattle. This city is a sweet spot for young professionals and first-time buyers who want the urban lifestyle without sacrificing their entire future to the lender. It's also attractive for long-term investors who like steady, job-backed demand and are playing a slow and steady appreciation game, not a speculative moonshot. Number 6. Cleveland, Ohio. Deep discount city with investor buzz. Cleveland may be one of the biggest "how is this still this cheap" stories on the list. Typical home values are in the low $100,000 range, and median sale prices have lately been in the mid-$100,000 range, with listing medians in a similar range. That means $300,000 can buy you a very nice single-family home or even small multifamily properties depending on the neighborhood. Cost of living is well under the U.S. average, and housing is the main driver of that. In many cases, you're talking a third or less of what a similar house would cost in high-priced coastal markets. That gap has pulled in a lot of investor attention. Market reports highlight strong interest from local and out-of-state buyers who are hunting for value-add deals and long-term rentals. Cleveland is great if you want to own but stay far under your maximum budget, leaving more room for savings, renovations, or even picking up a second property down the line. It's also a core market for investors comfortable with older housing stock, rehab projects, and the traditional buy, renovate, rent approach. Number 5. Scranton, Wilkes, Barre, Pennsylvania. Northeast proximity, non-northeast prices. The Scranton-Wilkes-Barre metro has seen prices climb in recent years, but typical values still sit comfortably below the national average, with plenty of solid single-family homes trading under $300,000. That puts your $300,000 budget above the median in many neighborhoods, giving you leverage to target updated homes in good school areas or small multi-unit properties. Compared with the larger Northeast corridor, the cost of living here is significantly lower, especially on housing and property taxes versus New York or New Jersey suburbs. You still get reasonable access to outdoor recreation and drivable distance to bigger job centers like New York and Philadelphia without having to pay big city mortgage numbers. Scranton-Wilkes-Barre is well suited for remote or hybrid workers who want to stay within a few hours of Northeast family and major metros while keeping their mortgage sane. It's also attractive to retirees who want to downshift expenses but aren't ready to move across the country, and to investors who like stable rent demand in healthcare and service-based economies. Number 4. Buffalo, Cheektowaga, New York. Great Lakes value play. In the Buffalo, Cheektowaga, Niagara Falls region, median listing prices have been running in the mid-$260,000 to mid-$270,000 range, while typical home values are in the mid-$270,000 to low-$280,000 range across the metro. Drill down into South Cheektowaga, and you often see median listings in the upper $200,000 range, putting $300,000 right at the nice but not extravagant level for a solid home in a stable neighborhood. Prices have risen meaningfully over the last few years. House price indices show a clear uptrend, but you're still paying far less than downstate New York or major coastal metros. Taxes can be higher than in some of the Midwestern markets on this list, but overall, your monthly ownership costs in Buffalo are still dramatically lower than in New York City or Boston for comparable space. Buffalo Cheektowaga is a strong fit for families who want a single-family home with a yard in a Great Lake city without paying big city premiums. Investors who believe in the slow-burn Rust Belt revival, where moderate prices, infrastructure investment, and improving amenities gradually push values up, also keep a close eye on this metro. Part 3. Wichita, Kansas, one of the most affordable big bargains. Wichita is a textbook example of a market where local incomes and home prices are still in a healthy relationship. Median listing prices and sold prices have recently landed in the mid-$200,000 range, while typical home values in several zip codes are still under $200,000.
With $300,000, you're comfortably above the median, often landing newer or bigger homes in good neighborhoods rather than scraping for entry-level options. Affordability studies rank Wichita among America's more affordable housing markets, with median home values around the mid-$100,000 range, and median household incomes in the mid-$50,000 range, which means local buyers can actually qualify for the homes they're looking at. Cost of living across the board, housing, food, transportation, sits below the U.S. average, giving you room in the budget for more than just the mortgage. Wichita is well matched to families and first-time buyers who want square footage and yards rather than condos and elevators. It also appeals to investors who like straightforward single-family rentals in markets with stable job bases in aviation, manufacturing, and healthcare.
Number 2, Frankfort, Kentucky. Small capital, solid demand. In Frankfort, the state capital, typical home values sit in the low to mid $200,000 range, and recent median sale prices often land in the mid $200,000 range, while median listings hover in the high $200,000 to low $300,000 range. A $300,000 budget puts you right in the conversation for well-kept 3 to 4 bedroom homes in desirable neighborhoods, sometimes with more land than you'd see at this price in larger metros. Market trend data shows healthy year-over-year price growth and homes going under contract relatively quickly, reflecting steady demand driven by government and service jobs. It's competitive enough that you need to be prepared, but not so overheated that every listing explodes into a bidding war. Frankfort works extremely well for state workers and professionals who want to build equity instead of renting. It's also attractive to families and retirees who want lower costs and a slower pace while staying within an easy drive of Lexington and Louisville for bigger city amenities. Number 1, St. Louis, Missouri. Big metro, under-the-radar pricing. St. Louis is another large metro where prices haven't completely detached from reality. Across the area, typical home values sit in the mid-$200,000 range, with some city-specific data showing values closer to the high $100,000 range and median sale prices in the low to mid-$200,000 range. That makes $300,000 a slightly above median budget, enough to target good suburbs, larger city homes, or properties with finished basements and extra bedrooms. The region remains one of the more affordable, bigger metros in the U.S., with home values below the national average, but a diversified economy and solid job base. Homes can move quickly, often in a few weeks and even faster in desirable suburbs, so buyers should be pre-approved and ready, but it's not the kind of frenzy you see in the hottest coastal markets. St. Louis is a great fit for families who want a yard, decent schools, and access to hospitals, universities, and major employers, while keeping the price tag under $300,000. It's also a longtime favorite of investors who like Midwestern rent-to-price ratios and stable demand in select neighborhoods.
If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot more here. I'd really appreciate a subscribe. Thanks for watching.